in tune with your next level. I have some new information. I have some old information on here as a refresher for some of you guys, but we're going to break down basically the spiritual side of all success. So make sure you guys are taking notes. This will be recorded and I'm locking the meeting right. I think I already locked it. I think I locked the meeting already, guys. Let me know if I did or if I didn't. Cool. It should be locked as of right now. Okay, cool. Perfect. So if you're on, you're on. If you're not on, oh well. Okay, let's get straight into it and let's get straight on the call. Let me see. Give me one more second, guys. It says that I didn't lock it. All right, cool. Perfect. I locked the meeting. All right, now let's get straight into it, guys. So let's talk about getting in tune and really getting to your next level. So first, we're going to talk a little bit about the shift, right? The shift in your thinking, the shift in your paradigm, and the shift in your life. I've gone over this time and time again, but we really got to understand where this shift comes from. You know what I mean? You've heard a lot of people mention it before in the past. We talk about shift a lot, but the shift really happens in the subconscious mind. Okay. Now, why is this information important? Why is this relevant to business? Why is this relevant to developing? It's because this business is a lot about developing people. For my P5Ks on the call, chairman on the call, this call is especially for you guys in P2Ks. You have to be aware and self-aware of your subconscious mind, self-aware of yourself in order to be able to help other people gain that level of self-awareness, right? So let's talk a little bit about the subconscious mind, guys, right? 95% of the thoughts that we have today are based off of the subconscious mind. Only 5% of it is conscious. So a lot of times people try to become wealthy, or you're trying to get to a chairman 100 level, chairman 250, let's say chairman 10 level bare minimum. Okay. And you're conscious of that. That's your 5% of your mind. 5% of your body is saying, hey, I want to get to that next level, while 95% of your mindset, 95% of who you are is dragging you back, right? And if you have that battle between the 5% and the 95%, I'm going to keep it real in the call tonight. You're going to lose that battle, right? So let's understand, where is this 95%? Okay, this 95% is our subconscious mind, which is more powerful, okay, then I want you guys to understand, more powerful than a computer. The subconscious mind, this is not hocus pocus. I'm talking about science right now. It's more powerful than a computer. Your subconscious mind is the gateway to information and knowledge that you are not even aware that you know of as of right now. What was it? It was, I think the people from Tibet used to actually believe the subconscious mind was so powerful. Okay. It was your complete gateway to the infinite knowledge. It was your gateway to God. Okay. When we communicate to God, it's usually subconscious. It's never conscious. Okay. Now, we are a set of programs, habits, and beliefs and stories that we've sold ourselves a long time ago. I need you guys to understand that you're a program. Just like a computer is programmed to operate in a certain way, you are like a computer that have been programmed to operate in a specific way. And if you're not operating in the exact way that you want to right now, you have to be aware of that, right? The program is created by habits. Those habits are created from your belief. That belief is created by that story that you sold yourself a while ago, and this is the biggest thing. Psychologists and psychiatrists actually study this because they realize that people are emotionally attached to a specific program or story or habit of who they are, that they've identified themselves with. And when they try to heal trauma, they'll go back to that old memory, okay, and either erase or heal that memory and let go of that memory in order for that person to become healed. Okay. So we got to be aware of this, because there's a program in your mind right now, a habit or belief that's saying you're not good enough, saying, hey, you're not worth 6 or 7 figures, saying, hey, you're not worth 8 figures. Okay. You're not going to be a billionaire. Now, I had these programs. A lot of times we have to be able to break through them, but we got to be aware of that. Okay. What does I think it's the parables of Jesus talks about, okay, if you find to know yourself, you will live in prosperity because you will create heaven on earth. But if you fail to know yourself, you will live in poverty because you are poverty. Okay. I'm just breaking down certain parables of Jesus. Okay. 86% of the world, guys, we got to realize this, resonates with negativity. So 86% of everybody that we meet, we need to understand this, will look at the glass half empty than half full, no matter what it is. Everything in life is perspective. I talked about this earlier, right? There's certain people in life where every bad thing in the world can happen to them, but they will find peace in them, in the trauma, the trial, the tribulation, the adversities, while another person who lives in America, who is part of the top 20 top blessed people in the world, blessed people in the world, they will find misery in some sort of way, no matter how blessed they are, right? So you got to understand perception is reality, right? Glass half empty versus half full. We have to realize that that program has been set to us. If our parents aren't wealthy, if our parents aren't making billions of dollars or millions of dollars, we need to understand that we've been programmed, that poverty program in our system, in our head from the moment we were born. It wasn't even a choice. I understood that because my parents weren't millionaires. So I knew that they only had they had limitations to the money that they could make. And the money is a direct reflection of how developed you are. So if my parents had limitations on how much money they could make, that means they had limitations on how developed they really got, which meant that I got stuck with even lower limitations. So we have to be aware of this type of stuff, okay? So we can rewrite or at least become self-aware of these stories and belief systems in order to defeat the enemy. You got to be able to be aware of what stories, what beliefs, what habits you have come from, okay? Where they stand, where they're from. You see what I'm saying? In order to be able to defeat the enemy, right? The only way you could be able to defeat the demon or the devil is by identifying it. And then you'll start to see the shift take place. So let's get into the next slide, guys, right? We're going to get into the next one. Next one, we're going to talk about the conscious mind, okay? The subconscious mind, it works in two areas, right? We have a visual right here. The conscious mind is controlled by the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is controlled by the body. Now, by the ages 3 to 7 years old, you are immediately molded into the personality and identity that you created for yourself. At ages 3 to 7 years old, the subconscious mind is open to all different types of information. It's open to, okay, positivity, it's open to negativity. And guess what? The subconscious mind doesn't choose what it allows into its mind. It just reflects it. Okay, so if you go through a trial, a tribulation, something between the ages of 3 to 7 years old, it can mentally fuck you up by the time you're 20, by the time you're 30 years old. And a lot of times people, when they go to therapy or they're going through trials in their life, they go that subconscious, okay, how could I say wall, or I could say roof, is kind of holding them back from really getting to the next level. Like I said, 86% of the world resonates with negativity. So you're being sold negativity. You're being sold lack. You're being sold not good enough. You're being sold nothing really positive versus being empowered, okay? Being empowered for a long period of time, right? Really understanding how much power you have as an individual, right? Now, this is the problem with most people. And I'm talking about not people on the call today, but I'm talking about your leaders and then their leaders and then their customers. This is the problem with most people. They consciously want to make a change, but their subconscious mind is so powerful, they're not even aware of it, that they take no action. They take no action or they have fear. And the subconscious mind is in ultimate control of the body, right? So if the body isn't taking action, you're going to have low body action, which means low results. And then that's going to reaffirm to the conscious mind, hey, maybe this doesn't work. And guess what? You're stuck in this cycle, okay, of negativity on the downward spiral. But also in the complete opposite, as long as you're battling, okay, the subconscious mind, right? So the biggest battle you will ever face is the battle between, okay, you and your own mind. People always talk to me about, yo, what was your biggest enemy? Who was your biggest enemy on this entire come up? And I've said the same thing time and time again. It was myself, really. it was really me against me. And that's what I had to realize in the beginning of this entire journey. Okay, so let's talk about your paradigm. How does your paradigm work? Okay, your paradigm dictates your reality. Okay, your paradigm is a set of thoughts, habits, beliefs, and stories that you sold yourself on. Okay, how is a paradigm created? I'm going to break down exactly how a paradigm has been created. So a paradigm is essentially your identity. Okay, it is who you believe you are. Okay, a lot of times people are so caught up with a certain paradigm, they just believe that that is just who they are. You've heard it before, right? I have an uncle that's cheap. Oh, I have an uncle that's grumpy. I have a grandpa that's super, super grumpy. It's not that your grandpa is grumpy. It's not that your uncle is cheap. It's the fact that that paradigm has clung so much to your uncle or your grandpa now that they've identified it as a characteristic trait of who they are. So they are cheap. They are grumpy. That's just part of their identity, and they can't let that go. So check this out. Your identity is created by your beliefs, okay? Whatever you believe you have. But your belief is created by the habits that you have, okay, on a day-to-day basis. Now, when those habits are repeated, a lot of times, usually it's because of an emotional, repetitious action that you've taken, okay? And that emotional repetitious action now has created a story in your head, which basically reinstills that paradigm back to you. Okay, so think about that, right? You have a emotional repetitious action that you do day in and day out. That emotional repetitious action then becomes a habit. Then that habit becomes part of your belief system. You start to believe that to be true. Then that becomes part of your paradigm and identity. Okay, which is why it's so hard to break, because if you have a story in your head, or someone in your team has a story in your head, it's very difficult for you to take it out of them, because that's just who they believe they are. Like, so you're literally attacking them. They think you're attacking them when in reality, you're trying to attack a belief that they have. But they are so unaware that you're trying to attack one of their beliefs, a negative belief, that they think that you're attacking them. Okay. And I try to build that self-awareness so people understand, okay, that entire thing. So let's talk about belief. Your paradigm is built off of your belief. Okay. When you learn how to believe, nobody has to really teach you the work. Okay. Guys, nobody has to teach you the work, because you will work and you will learn how to do the work by doing the work. This is what I'm trying to break down to you guys. You don't learn how to swim. This is a great example. You don't learn how to swim in the classroom. You don't learn how to swim by watching videos, by being on conference calls. You don't learn how to swim by doing anything but getting in the water and swimming. So if you learn how to believe how to swim outside of the pool, as soon as you jump in the pool, you will start swimming. This is why belief is one of the most powerful things in the world. And it's something that I've consistently studied up until this point in time. Okay. I want y'all to understand that once you understand how to break down people's beliefs and their concepts of themselves, your entire business is going to transform, right? Everything is going to transform for you. Okay. The reality that you have right now for you and your business to go, I Am Master Academy, to go to the billions of dollars, that reality is honestly the greatest factor that you have. It is the greatest power that you have. But a lot of times people are very unaware of that. If you listen to this, I guarantee you, if you learn how to believe and study how to believe, you will hit your goal. Okay. The business boils down to two main factors on the spiritual side of success. Two main factors: your ability to believe, knowing how to believe, so you can teach and apply other people to show them how to believe, because it's part of the supernatural. And then number two is your leadership skills. And your leadership skills isn't something that is learned. It's something that is practiced. Okay. It's something that that's going to be built up over time. Leadership isn't something that I always say is something that is optional. It's kind of a responsibility. It's a character trait that you have. You can't just say you're going to be a leader one week and then next week not show up for your team. You're not a leader. You're more of a capper. I'm gonna keep it real. Okay. You're a capper. You're not really a leader. You're a capper. Okay. Because at the end of the day, I understand that leadership, it plays a role in certain areas, but it plays the biggest role in your business, right? So let's go straight into it. Let's get into the next slide and we'll talk a little bit about, okay, the foundation of your belief system. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the foundation of your belief system. Shout out to DM. This is where I actually learned it from, right? DI, shout out to DI because this is actually where I learned it from. So first things first, let's break this down, right? The foundation of a belief system. There are three main elements to your belief system, okay? Three main elements. Number one is words. So what am I speaking on a day-to-day basis? Every single word to this day creates your reality. Okay, this world was created through words, right? What are you planting in your mind? What are you planting in the outside world? You know, a lot of times people were screaming retracement, retracement, retracement when the retracement was coming in. And for me, I wasn't really screaming retracement at all. I was completely calm. I was basically screaming incubation. I was saying that we were in an incubation period. The reason being is because, guys, people come and go in this business. But the reality is, it's the leadership that really sustains the entire organization. So I don't really care about who comes and goes. I know where I'm going and I know where my leaders are going. So regardless if 60% retracement, 30%, 20%, it doesn't really matter because what I'm planting is eventually what I will sow. If I'm planting the negative, I'm going to sow the negative, right? Think about the world. In the world, you know, David always says the world is another name for the world is what? Earth, okay? And the first three letters of earth is ear, E-A-R, okay? What is it that you hear, right? What is it that you hear on this planet Earth will come back to you. So what is it that you plant in your ears that will come back to you? I always say that, like, it's like you're planting, and a lot of times people are planting things that they don't really want to sow, but inevitably they sow because they were unaware of what they were planting. You see what I'm saying? So it all boils back down into your words, okay? Inevitably, whatever you preach, you will reach, okay? Will reach back out to you, okay? We talk about this a lot. I've said it in past calls before, right? You're not a God, but you are like God, which means that you have the ability to do the exact same things up to a limitation of what he can do, right? And that's all done through words, okay? Words cast spells. They create your reality. So what are you speaking on a day-to-day business, okay? I have on a consistent basis spoken positivity into my business. I don't speak any type of negativity in my entire business. All I'm speaking on is positivity. That's all I'm really speaking on, guys, right? I refuse to speak on anything less than that. So I want you guys to really understand that it's like at the end of the day, okay, give me 1 second, guys. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Can you guys see my screen? Give me 1 second. You guys froze on me for a second. You guys froze on me. Can you guys see my screen now? Cool, 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 cool. Okay, so words play a massive role in your entire business. They completely create your entire reality, right? So we got to speak life into our leaders, speak life into our business every single day. We can never speak down, okay, in our business, because what it's going to do is it's going to inevitably, okay, always bring down things in our entire business. Perfect, perfect. Next thing, images. What am I seeing on a daily basis? A lot of times people don't prioritize the things that they're seeing on a day-to-day basis. Okay, so every day I'm still, I talk about this story a lot, guys, in the dorm room. Back in 2015, 2016, I had a dorm room and I made a dream board. And I've talked about this. I don't know if some of you guys have a dream board. I made a dream board. I put a Rolex on it. I put a Lamborghini on it. Okay. I put making 30 grand a month on it. I put traveling the world, speaking in front of stages on it. I put basically almost everything that I wanted that I have today, 99% of everything that I wanted except the private jet, okay, on that dream board up until this day and time. And I've done this time and time and time again. And I've prioritized this on a consistent basis. Even now, guys, right? I want my next car to be a Rolls Royce. What did I go do and buy? I went to go buy a model toy Rolls Royce that I could see every single day. Okay, people are going to talk to me, think I'm crazy, but I want you guys to look back. Just give me a couple months from now when Bitcoin hits 60K, I'm going to have a brand new Rolls Royce outside in the parking lot right next to the Lamborghini, right? Think about it like that real quick. You might think that's crazy, but I used to think it was crazy when I was only making $1,000 to $2,000 a month in the dorm room and I was looking for a $5,000 to $7,000 Rolex watch, and now I have the AP. Okay, I used to dream about 30K a month or 10K a month, but I saw 10, 20, 50 grand a month every single day. There hasn't been one goal, guys, that I have hit in the history of my entire career that I haven't written down and seen every single day. I'm going to say that one more time for people that didn't catch that. There hasn't been one goal that I have ever hit throughout the entire 5 years, half a decade I've been in this shit, right? That I haven't written down and seen every single day. You can ask Cruiser in the Inn. You can ask anybody. I've written down every goal I've ever hit. I've written down. Chairman 10, I wrote it down on a dream card. Chairman 10, Chairman 25, I wrote it down. Chairman 50, I wrote it down on a board and I put it up. And guess what? I missed the date of Chairman 50 by 10 days. No. By 10, 15 days. You know what's crazy? I hit my chairman. I missed my Chairman 100 goal by 1 month. But there hasn't been one goal that I have ever hit throughout, okay, my entire career that I haven't written down, okay? Because Think and Grow Rich, the power of auto-suggestion, right? I know through the principle of auto-suggestion, words, images, and experiences, self-confidence formula, any desire that I persistently hold in my mind will eventually seek expression through the practical means of attaining the object back of it. I'm going to say that one more time. This is Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, one of the most successful books that has ever been written and created the most amount of millionaires than any other book in the world. It says, I know through the principle of auto-suggestion, words, images, and emotions, any desire, any single desire, any desire that you guys have in your mind, any single one of them, okay, I persistently hold in my mind will eventually, through time, things will find you. You will bump into the people, you will bump into the situations in your experiences, and it will seek its expression back to you, okay, in some sort of practical means in your life, right? So images play a role. I didn't have that environment back in 2015, 2016. So what did I do? I created that environment. I put up the images. I put up, okay, the quotes. I put up exactly what I wanted my life to look like 5 years down the line, because even though I didn't have that as my reality, I was creating my reality in the present. So I was seeing it. The subconscious mind is one of the most powerful tools in the entire world. If I'm able to go out there and tap into it, I'm able to attract and gain anything that I'm able to want in this entire lifetime. So number 3, experiences. Okay. This is the last foundation to our belief system. What experiences have I had up until this point in time? What have I basically brought into my reality, and what have I failed to bring into my reality? That's the biggest thing. Okay. What have I brought and what have I failed to bring in my reality? Okay. A lot of times people, they don't think it's important to go out there and expand their minds, see the mansions. I mean, you hear the story about Drake. It's so crazy. He has an interview of him talking about how he would go to the wealthiest places in Toronto and he would literally drive around and look at the multi-million, $10 and $100 million mansions in the peak of Chicago. And he would drive around girls, okay, different girls that he was dating at night. And he would tell them all about how he was going to own those houses at age 17 one day, right? What was he doing? He was getting his mind prepared with the right type of experiences. We talk about Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey would go to the top of LA, the Hollywood Hills, and talk about, okay, what houses he would eventually own. And eventually he ended up owning the homes in the top of the Hollywood Hills. Okay, you got to look at the different types of people that have gone through the exact same thing, but have also pushed for the right type of experiences. For me, I needed to have those experiences. I lived in a basement with a space heater and a one window, right? So I had to go out to the penthouses. I had to sit in the Lamborghini that Jason Brown had before I had a Lamborghini. I had to go to Jason's penthouse in order for me to get my own penthouse. I had to experience some of those different types of things. I had to wear the Rolex in order to bring the Rolex into my reality. Okay. So words, images, and experiences. What is it that you have right now that you're prioritizing that creates your belief system? Now let's talk about what influences your belief system. Because a lot of times you have a belief system, but you don't know what influences it. You really don't know how to change it, right? Or how to shift that belief system, right? So the first way to change it is number one, through your environment. Okay. And I want you to be aware of this because one day you're going to have to shift certain people in your businesses, okay, belief system. You're going to have to go out there and really get them out of their way of thinking or their negative way of thinking, right? So let's talk about how to shift your belief system on this entire thing. So the first thing we're going to talk about is number one, okay, environment. When I flew down, okay, to Jason's and Matt's place, and I sat in a Rolls Royce in Alex Morton's Porsche Design Tower back in 2019, 2020, guys, I was putting myself around the environment, right? The yacht, I put myself in the yacht. That was the environment. Flying leaders to Miami. Why would I fly down certain leaders to Miami? I was trying to put them in the environment. I was trying to put them in proximity. You don't want to go into other people's reality or your leader's environment. You want to bring them to your own. Okay. And if your own isn't strong enough yet, you want to go to your uplines or your leaders' environment and proximity, and you need to prioritize that. For me, in my perspective, guys, right? I always had to get myself around the right environment because I knew it would shift my perspective and influence all my decisions. Okay. Think about this real quick. When I was living in my basement, in my parents' basement, when I only had $300 to my name, I failed out of school. I had meetings where nobody would show up. I had people quit on me. I had basically lost my entire team. What did I do? I flew out to Las Vegas to go meet up with Christopher Terry. And Chris showed me the penthouse. Chris showed me the trading account. I saw that it was real. I put myself in a new environment. So first off, what is your physical environment? What is your mental environment? What's clouding your judgment? A lot of the work isn't just hard work, it's mental work, okay? What's clouding your judgment? Hard work isn't something that's just physical. It's something that's mental, okay? So what right now is taking up space in your mind, taking up focus in your mind that is holding you back from really getting to the next level? Okay, what is clouding your judgment? What is clouding your mind? What is clouding your environment? A lot of times also your environment is around people. So who are the people that you're around? Okay, what are the people that you have in your life right now? Are they holding you back? Are they bringing you up? Or are they bringing you down? Okay, if we're not really talking about money, if we're not talking about positive vibes, if we're wasting our creative energy behind bullshit, okay, check it out. I have to separate myself from those people. So number one is environment. Okay. What's the environment I'm in right now? Am I making a priority to get to the right environment? This is why conventions are huge. This is why big events are huge. It's a shift in the environment, right? So environment, mental environment, and also the people that you're around. You might have to love people from a distance. I love my mom. I love my dad to death, but hey, check it out. They were not the right people I could be around at the time. I had to be around my team. I had to be around my mentors. I had to be around the right type of people in order for me to really level up. Now, number two, information. Okay, everything is information. Okay, guys, I've made about right now 2.5 million with crypto, about $3 million now in the industry of network marketing and trading. And I need you guys to really understand something very clear. I to this day, I don't take credit for really all that money. The reality is I'm not the perfect mentor, but there is a thing called the perfect information. So I still have invested in multiple courses. I've invested in events, seminars. I still read Napoleon Hill. I look into Jim Rohn. Okay, I've read the book that Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad. I've been at Tony Robbins events that I've spent over $7,000 in a weekend to be there for 4 days. Why? When I was only a chairman 10, guys, I was a D-ranked chairman 25 in 2019 during the retracement months in August. Okay, when my business was falling apart in 2019 and I was a D-ranked chairman 25, I was a chairman 10. And guess what? I was making only 10 grand a month, and I decided to spend 7 grand of that 10 grand a month to go to a Tony Robbins seminar that was $7,000. And guess what? From that Tony Robbins seminar, I'm still utilizing some of the things that I have that I do today from that Tony Robbins seminar, right? So I just did something earlier today that was from a Tony Robbins seminar. You would never have known, right? So I truly believe that the reason I will make more than $2-3 million is because of the information I've been investing into this year. So what information are you around? What information is your leaders around? Are they prioritizing that, right? Are they really taking advantage of the information? The only thing that separates anybody is time and information. Number 3 is experiences. What influences the belief systems? Experiences. Okay, get them around the right experiences. This is the last thing I'm going to talk about, right? Get them in the luxury car. Get them in the places. Have them shop at Saks Fifth. Have them window shop. Okay, that's what's going to influence their belief system. And the last thing is gratitude, guys. For everybody that's on the call today, I'm pretty sure you're alive today. That in itself is a blessing. But a lot of times in America, people, okay, they try to find misery where there should be gratitude. I mean, the reality is there's places in the world right now. Look at what's going on in the Middle East. All right, there's women that are being forced into slavery, and there's literally men that are being killed for literally going outside and trying to attack or go against the negative type of stuff that's going on in the Middle East right now. Let's really look at what's going on. There's still genocide going on. There's still slavery going on in 2021. There is still real life problems and situations, okay, where people are getting murdered, raped, killed. And a lot of times people get pissed off because, their Uber is a little bit late, or their Uber Eats didn't arrive on time, okay? Or one person told them no, or one person said, hey, yeah, I'm going to leave this business, all right? Don't wish it was easier, man. Wish you were better, but first of all, show some gratitude, all right? We all, my mentor used to always say, John, listen, the ultimate multiplier in your life is gratitude, having gratitude for where you are today. Look at where you were 5 years ago to where you are now. And that should really spark up some gratitude on where you're going, right? And especially in this business, it's going to help influence your belief system. Now, how to shift your belief system. There's only 2 ways to do this. Only 2 ways. Now you're aware of what influence is. What is your belief system? Now let's shift it. How can we shift your belief system? Number 1 is repetition. Number 1 is repetition. Doing it again, doing it again, doing it again, getting around the right environments again, getting around the right people again, getting around listening to the right information again and again and again, reading the right books again and again and again. That repetition is what's going to shift your belief system. Getting to the events again and again and again, even when you don't want to. I didn't want to. Do you think I wanted to go to events every single convention? There was points where I really didn't want to go. But then at the end of the events, I was like, dude, I needed that. Wow. I learned a lot. So emotional experiences, right? Having a massive emotional experience, that is what's going to shift your entire belief system, right? Now let's talk about desire. Okay, what is a desire? Let's define a desire so all of us here are aware of it. Okay, a desire is a strong feeling of wanting to have something or wishing for something to happen. Okay, so the feeling comes from the relationship that you have, okay, with, with yourself or whatever that desire is. Okay, so it's, if you don't have what it is that you have, it's just because you don't believe for it. Okay, you don't really believe that you can have it. You don't really desire. The body will always follow the mind. So the mind is like a GPS. There's only one mind out of 7 billion expressions, because the average person has about 7 billion expressions. So your world is all based off of your mind, and it's all based off of the senses that you have. You have to use all senses in order to bring your desire into your reality. Okay, now I'm going to break down how to use all 5 senses. Some people only believe that there are 5 senses in the world. Now, there are only 5 physical senses in the world. This is what I actually learned at David's event. There are only 5 physical senses in the world. But the human body, the human mind and soul and spirit actually has 15 different senses. It doesn't have just 5 senses. It has 15 senses. And I'm going to bring this awareness of those 15 senses right now on the call. So the first sense that we have is through the body, right? The body is essentially, okay, the senses is essentially another word for, so receiving is, okay, let me break this down. The 5 senses of your body. So when I break this down, guys, I want y'all to understand that the functionality of your body is to function out of your soul. Okay, and your soul is basically controlled by the mind. So the 5 senses of your body, let's break this down right now, are hearing, what you hear on a day-to-day basis, what you smell, what you touch, what you taste, and what you see. So these are the 5, okay, real senses of the body. Now, they all intertwine because there's also the 5 senses of your soul and the 5 senses of your spirit. Your body is one part of who you are. You need to understand that. Your body isn't your spirit. It isn't your mind. And your spirit/mind isn't your soul. They're 2 completely separate beings living within you. Let me break it down for you right now. Your body tells you when you need to go to the bathroom. Your body tells you when you are afraid. It's not your soul. Your soul is pure. Your soul dictates your desires. Your soul has the power of imagination, has the power of will. Your soul has emotions. Your body doesn't have that. In the same way that your soul is different from your spirit, because your spirit is completely separate from the soul and the body. So in the same way, when you're feeling an emotion, the body just reflects what the soul is feeling. Okay, if this makes sense, I don't want to lose you guys. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the 5 senses of your soul. Okay, because we got to be aware of that. Okay, there's 3 different people living within us. This is why I think the parables of Jesus talks about the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. There's 3, Holy Trinity, right? I'm not trying to get too religious here, but there's 3. There is 3 living in you. And you need to be aware of this. Eckhart Tolle talks about it. Napoleon Hill talks about it. The Bible talks about it. What is every success book based off of? The Bible. It's not based off of anything else. Think and Grow Rich is based off the Bible. How to Win Friends and Influence People is based off of Think and Grow Rich, which is based off the Bible. Every successful book that has ever been read throughout entire human history has been based off of a book that was based off of the Bible. So this information isn't even my information. I'm not the messenger. Okay. I mean, I'm not the message. I'm just the messenger. So the five senses of your soul, okay? So you have the mind. Number one is the mind. Number two is the will, okay? Number three is the emotions. Number four is the imagination. And number five is the intellect. These are the five senses, okay, of your spirit. Now, I want you to focus on something very clear. Your mind is essentially everything that you imagine, everything that you have in your mind, you're planting. Okay, your mind is conscious. Your mind is essentially consciousness. It can choose what it wants to put its attention to. It can choose what it puts its focus to. But your mind is essentially the soil. Okay. What you plant in the mind is based off of what you plant in the body. Remember when I talked about what influences your belief system, the environment, right? The people that you're around, words, images, and experiences. Those words, images, and experiences go into the mind as soil, right? And then you sow whatever words, images, and experiences you put into your mind, because it is essentially your soil. It doesn't judge what you plant. You can plant life or you can plant death. Just like you can plant weeds in a garden or you can plant beautiful flowers in a garden. But eventually, if you plant enough weeds, the weeds will start to choke the flowers and the flowers will die. So number one is your mind. First sense of your soul is your mind. Number two, the second sense is the will. Okay. Now the will is, again, seeds. It's the words that you plant, the images, the experiences that you plant on a day-to-day basis. The next sense of your soul is emotions. What emotions, okay, do you have on a day-to-day basis? What emotions, okay, are you portraying in your life, in your business? Okay, guys, I don't know if you've ever heard of the law of polarity before. I've talked about this recently. I remember Alex going on Instagram Live talking about it, right? The law of polarity. Alex broke down how essentially, guys, there was this one phone call that he had with David, Mr. David Omnitia, I remember. And he was breaking down, Alex was on the phone with him and his sister passed away. So, he was, the guy was like crying, like in massive, massive tears, like the most amount of pain that he's ever been before. And he went up to Alex and was like, yo, Alex, like, I've never felt so much pain, so much hurt in my entire life. Like, I've never felt sick to my stomach than I ever have. Like, I'm physically ill right now, bro. And Alex really didn't know what to say. It was like, yo, like, DI, I'm here for you, bro. Anything you need, man. Like, and he's like, things are going to get better, bro. And David was like, bro, I know things are going to get better, right? Law of polarity. For every new low emotion, you will have a new high emotion. Okay? Law of polarity. For every new low emotion, you will unlock a newer, higher emotion. He said, bro, I know that this will pass and I'm feeling pain that I've never felt before in my entire life. So I'm getting ready for the next season because I know that there's going to be an immense amount of joy and gratitude that I've never felt in my entire life. He said, once this entire thing passes. So, law of polarity, emotions, right? The soul is in complete control of its emotions, but a lot of times we let our emotions get to us. I need y'all to understand that whatever low you go through in your business, you will go through a high in terms of emotions. It's a powerful story, right? Are you guys getting value so far? Okay. Cool. Fire. Okay. Emotions. Number 4 is imagination. Okay. Imagination. So what type of imagination do you have? I'm reading this one book. I think it was what was this one book that I was reading? I think it's called Your Invincible Power. And it talks about how your invincible power, it talks about how imagination will be your savior. Once you tap into your imagination is really what controls your reality. The reason certain successful people got to where they were is because their imagination was, they bought into their imagination so much, and it was stronger than their own reality. And God, when God sees that, the universe, whatever you believe in, it has no choice but to convey or comply. Ask and you shall receive. So a lot of times people don't know how to ask though. You ask by feeling it. You ask by living it. You don't ask for a blessing, okay, by wanting it, because that would mean that you are unconnected to the blessing, okay? People don't ask the right way they don't ask from the source. They don't ask from God the right way. They ask wanting something, believing that that something is separate from who they are. You ask by feeling it, ask by already receiving it, okay? And some of the most successful people in the world are people that have just understood that their imagination was more powerful than anything else. And they lived in that imagination, they lived in that reality, they lived in that optimism, okay? And that was their way of receiving it because they were connected to it. They were in that imagination. So number 4 is imagination. Number 5 is intellect, your ability to reason. Okay, what is your ability to read? All that entire ability is based off of wisdom. It's based off of knowledge. It's based off of experiences. Okay, so that entire way of being able to go out there and reason is based through knowledge, okay, and experiences. The next thing, the 5 senses of your spirit. Okay, we're almost done here, guys. We're almost done here. I promise. I know this is a lot of information. So, okay, we're going to get into the next one, guys. All right, next one. So the 5 senses of your spirit. Now, your spirit also has senses. We talked about this, right? Okay, it has faith. It has prayer. It has worship. It has praise. It has meditation. Okay, you got to be aware of the 5 senses of your spirit. Faith. Okay, what is it that you're seeing? Okay, a lot of times people's perception of things is altered by their faith or their fear. You know, for me, I talk about it all the time. Think of the story of Peter and Jesus walking on water. So there was a story where all the 12 disciples were out in the water. I forgot what river it was actually. And, you know, all the disciples ended up falling asleep. And when Peter woke up, Peter saw Jesus walking on water. And in the story, it's actually super crazy because in the story, Peter is so at awe, so at shock. He thinks that Jesus is in trouble, that he's walking on water. So he goes over there and he runs over to Jesus and he's like, Jesus, are you okay? You're walking on water. And he doesn't realize it, but Peter had so much faith in himself because he was walking with Jesus that he actually ended up walking on water to go see if Jesus was okay. And he was so unreasonable that Jesus turns around. He's like, Peter's like, Jesus, you're walking on water. And Jesus turns around and he's like, so are you, you know? And slowly, as Peter starts to realize that he's also walking on water, okay, limitations tend to seep in, okay? He starts to slowly sink into the water because his perception of what it was that he saw, okay, is basically, okay, out of fear, not faith. Jesus helped him see again and was like, bro, you're fine. You can walk on water. Everything is amazing, right? And helped him. He's like, he asked Peter, do you not walk in faith? And he said, yes. He said, then stand up. And he stood up. So a lot of times when people are in certain different types of situations, they don't really see the positives in things. Like they don't really have faith. Like for me, it takes a lot of faith to do a call with 5-10 people. It takes a lot of faith for me to travel to a certain location and there's only 30 people active in the organization. But what I always saw was that there was always going to be 300 active, 30,000 active. Now I'm not delusional. I'm calculated, but I have faith in every single situation that occurs in my entire life. That is a power. Faith isn't something that is just practice. It's actually a power. Okay, we need to understand that a lot of these traits are not just practice, they're powers. They're powers that certain people have, and you have that same power. You just haven't practiced it enough. Okay, prayer. Are you praying the right type of way? Okay, are you hearing the right type of information? What are the prayers that you're sending to not just the spirit, but yourself? Okay, because how you talk to yourself is essentially a prayer. Number 3 is worship, gratitude. What kind of gratitude do you have for your life and the life of the people around you? Okay, praise, give praise. Okay, and praise is just another word for, I forgot to put this on there, humility. Okay, praise is another word for humility. Praise equals humility, right? So you got to have humility, okay, in your business. You got to have humility in your life. That's the biggest thing that I recommend, guys, right? Humility is a multiplier. Humility is being able to say, hey, listen, right? It gets through me to go through me. It comes to me to go right through me, right? If you fail to have humility, you will be stuck for a very, very, very long time, right? Those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. You need to be aware that humility plays a massive role in your life, in your business. Number 5 is meditation, okay? Meditation is just another word for mutter, okay? So speaking is not really a set. I need you guys to understand this. When you mutter, it means that you speak, okay? It means that you're essentially speaking, right? Your spirit understands these 5 senses. And when it's off, it's going to feel some type of way. But when it's fully in tune with these 5 senses and the senses of your soul, you're in full congruency. Okay, you're in complete alignment. A lot of times people are in alignment physically, but they're not in alignment spiritually, not in an alignment mentally. And that's one of the biggest problems that a lot of people tend to have. You got to have proper training on this type of stuff and be at least aware of it in order to bring it in your reality. And the reason we say that is because 99% of success is based off of the intangible. This is the reality. I didn't believe in this until I really saw it, right? 99% of your success is brought on your own thoughts, okay? On your thinking, on your images, on your dreams, on your faith, on your emotions, what you see visually. The other 1% to 10% is brought physically. Yes, you have to work. You have to work your ass off. But there's a lot of people that work their ass off and don't get anything in return. There's a lot of people. Think about the people that are at war right now, our servicemen that are at war. Think about the hard work that they're putting in. Think about construction workers. Think about landscapers. There's a lot of people that work harder than I do, harder than you do, and get paid less. Okay? Why is it that you get paid more? You don't just put in the work, right? The how-tos, the techniques. Yes, you need the techniques. Yes, you need the work. Yes, you need the action. Yes, you need the activity. Yes, you need the strategy. Yes, you need all that stuff. There's a lot of people that have all that, but they're unaware of the other side, right? So I appreciate every single one of you guys for tuning in tonight. The last thing I'm going to talk about here before I end this entire thing is the top 5 characteristics of a leader, okay? The first character, first is his character, right? Toughness in the face of adversity will always test your character. Your character is always based off time. Your character is based off what you say and how you said it and how you perform off of that. Just being a good person, bro. Like, just understand that God blesses you because you are a great human being, right? Why would he give it his gifts, or why would the Sork give his gifts to somebody that doesn't have the right character or utilize it in the right type of way, right? So number 1 is character. Number 2 is integrity. Okay, can we count on your word? In this business, trust is built within months, maybe years, and then destroyed within seconds, okay? What can we count on your word? If you're on a call, are you going to get on the call? If you're going to set up an event, you tell yourself, hey, I'm going to do my own event, and you don't do an event, you didn't lie. You didn't lack integrity for your upline. You lacked integrity for yourself. That's just really the reality. Okay. Number 3, positive mental attitude. How do you respond Do you respond with the right type of control? Do you have solutions that you're able to bring into your organization? Number 5, work ethic. Okay. Do you have a commitment plan that you're consistent to? Do you have a calendar? Do you have a plan that you review? Leaders don't find shortcuts in their business. They pay the full price. Okay. How you do anything is how you do everything. A lot of times people try to find the fucking shortcut, man. You can't shortcut the shortcut. You got to pay the full price for this entire thing. And the last thing is having a pleasing personality. You got to learn how to communicate with people. You got to learn how to speak with people. That will be the determinant factor to all your success. So if you guys got value tonight, go back to my last Instagram post and drop some fire emojis. Okay. And go back into your chat box and drop some fire emojis. Drop some things that you actually learned in your leaders chat. Drop some things and talk about the people that weren't on the call and what they really missed out on. So I appreciate all of y'all. Thankful for every single one of y'all for hopping on the entire call tonight, right? Let me know, like I said, in the leaders chat, if you guys got value, what you learned from it. I am grateful for y'all. I love y'all. I hope this painted a little bit of a better picture behind, you know, what belief is, how it works, and how the spiritual side kind of works into your entire business. And next week, starting on Monday, we are going to have the 7 skills. Okay, 7 days, 7 skills to hit 7 figures. Okay, 7, 7, 7. 7 days, 7 skills to go out there and hit 7 figures. So we're gonna run that entire thing up, and let's run it up. I appreciate y'all, love y'all, and I'm gonna talk to y'all soon. Appreciate it. Peace.